This week on the Presidential Diary. The valve is turned on, and now FPSO John Agyekum Kufuor is producing oil in commercial quantities. President Akufo-Addo says the roadmap for Ghana's industrialization starts right now.
By judiciously managing our petroleum resource, we shall provide added revenues to the country to ensure the welfare of our people, promote employment, improve the environment, and strengthen trade and industrial development in Ghana.
As you know, our plans are big, so we need bigger resources.
Big things, big signings, as Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia secures $15 billion Chinese partnership agreement aimed at boosting Ghana's economy and transforming the country's infrastructure. Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia's working visit to China will be in focus. This is the Presidential Diary, brought to you by the Communications Directorate at the Presidency. Hello, I'm Jefferson Saki and you're welcome. The President's Diary was booked with one major program on July 6, 2017. It was a program that signaled Ghana's readiness for energy and economic growth. President Nana Akufo-Addo formally turned on the valves on the FPSO John Agyekum Kufuor to signal the formal production of oil in commercial quantities from the Sankofa oil and gas field in the Western region. The ceremony itself on the field was brief, but its significance will be impactful. It was a wet, slippery morning when President Akufo-Addo arrived at the Takoradi Air Force Base in the Western region. Without wasting time, the safety wears were all ready, joining other team members to fly a chopper to the FPSO John Agyekum Kufuor, 60 kilometers on the Sankofa oil field off Ghana's coast in the Western region. The President arrived on the FPSO and took time to inspect the facility. Then came the time to turn the valve to signal the formal production of oil in commercial quantities from the Sankofa oil and gas fields. The FPSO was built in Singapore by Capel Shipyard and was named in February 2017 by Ghana's First Lady Rebecca Akufo-Addo after former President John Agyekum Kufuor, under whose watch Ghana discovered oil in 2007. It is about 333 meters in length and 60 meters wide. Has a storage capacity of 1.7 million barrels, a double hull to reduce environmental risks, and also treatment capacity of 58,000 oil barrels per day. Also, it has a design life of 20 years without dry docking. On this ship, oil will be then offloaded to tankers and sold to the international market. Briefly, after talking to the media, the President flew back to land. Former President John Agyekum Kufuor, members of the Western Regional House of Chiefs, ministers of state, technicians and stakeholders gathered for a brief ceremony. President Akufo-Addo started his address on a nostalgic note, acknowledging the various roles that leaders that came before him played in ensuring and developing Ghana's oil discovery.
It has been 10 years since Ghana made the historic discovery of oil and gas as a result of the bold and far-sighted policies of the Kufuor-led NPP government. Indeed, the decision to restructure and reorganize the operations of GNPC, to make the corporation focus on its core mandate of exploring for oil and gas and creating an enabling climate, positively changed the operating environment. The then president played a truly seminal role in the development of the nation's oil and gas industry, and it is thus befitting to have the OCTP FPSO christened in his honor. Now, ladies and gentlemen, an occasion like this cannot be complete without recollecting also the gratitude of the Ghanaian nation to the first president of the Fourth Republic, His Excellency Jerry John Rawlings, for his vision to set up GNPC and the pioneering work in this industry that took place under his watch. It is wholly appropriate for this FPSO to be named John Agyekum Kufuor. 17 years ago, during his presidential campaign, candidate John Agyekum gave a solemn pledge to the people of this city, this region, and the country that if elected, his government will concentrate attention to discovering oil in commercial quantities. The fulfillment of that promise is what has brought us all here today. We are a most grateful nation, Your Excellency. I believe God will be on our side once again under another NPP administration to strike more oil and gas. President J. Kufuor made it happen offshore. The focus now is also to explore opportunities onshore. That is why my government is committed to intensifying efforts towards the discovery of oil and gas onshore in the Voltaire Basin.
On revenue generation, President Akufo-Addo noted that with the oil industry increasingly becoming an important contributor to the country's economy, the efficient management of petroleum resources and its associated revenues is a national priority.
We shall prudently manage our petroleum resources with a long-term perspective for the benefit of Ghanaian society as a whole. By judiciously managing our petroleum resource, we shall provide revenues to the country to ensure the welfare of our people, promote employment, improve the environment, and strengthen trade and industrial development in Ghana.
On the Sankofa project and other existing ones in the Western region, the President was confident that it will open up the region for infrastructural development and economic growth, in line with the grand plan of making the Western region a key growth pole in the country.
The oil industry is increasingly become an important contributor to our national economy. The significance of the petroleum sector in the Ghanaian economy is evident in its share of gross domestic product, exports, and government revenues. I now officially declare the first oil of the OCTP field duly commissioned. Thank you, and may God bless the OCTP project and our homeland Ghana, and make her great and strong.
The Presidential Diary will be back right after this break. Welcome back to the Presidential Diary. Earlier in June, the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, led a high-powered government delegation to China to hold bilateral talks and also strengthen the ties between Ghana and China. It was a trip that yielded multiple results. The Vice President announced that China has committed $15 billion worth of investment in Ghana as a result of new financing model designed by the country's economic management team. Under a new agreement, $2 billion will be used to fund the Grand Industrialization Policy, One District, One Factory. Among the many meetings the Vice President held was that with the China Railway Group, a discussion on a joint venture which will possibly see the construction of a 1,400-kilometer railway line linking Ghana's ports in the south to Paga, the northern part of the country.
We need very significant infrastructure investment. And as you say, it's in railways, it's in the ports, it's in the refinery for the bauxite mine. And we want to see all of this as one project. China Railway Group has the capacity to do this type of project. In terms of fundamentally the financing model for this, we would like to see more of a joint venture between the government of Ghana and a company like yours to do all this development.
The Chinese side expressed interest, touting Ghana's business-friendly environment.
We would like to express strong willingness to serve Ghana and work together with Ghanaian people to develop the economy in Ghana.
With Ghana's energy sector still in need of significant boost, the Vice President and the Ghanaian delegation visited the Power Construction Corporation of China, also known as Power China, with 4,000 projects in 91 countries around the world. Power China built and engineered works on the Malaysian Agyekum Dam, the Ethiopian Tigris Dam, and the Pakistan hydropower plant, among others.
It's very, very impressive what you have
Vice
done.
President Dr. Bawumia expressed appreciation for their support to Ghana over the years that culminated in the construction of the Bui Dam in Ghana.
For us in Ghana, we are very, very thankful also for your work on the Bui Dam. It's really an excellent project. And a company such as yours can only do all the things it's doing if the management is very good. So I'm congratulating your management. It's very, very impressive what you have done across the world. The projects that you have listed, the 6 projects that you are evaluating now, shows that you really understand our problems in Ghana, because these are all very critical projects for us. The garbage treatment, the Pualugu Dam is a very key one for both power and for irrigation in the northern part of Ghana. It's a very important project. The Eastern Railway, the Volta transport, flood prevention in Accra, it's a big issue for us. So it tells me you have really studied our problems and you are coming with specific solutions. So if we can work out the financing sustainably, I think it will be very, very good to see you finish these projects within the next 4 years or 3.5 years. We'd like to see all of these projects done. It will be good if we can reach an understanding in these areas. They are very important projects for us.
The president of the China Exim Bank, Liu Liangji, also hosted the vice president and the Ghanaian delegation, stressing that the bank stands ready to help Ghana in the areas of high-speed railway, aviation, industry, manufacturing, and other priority areas for the government of Ghana.
Ghana is a very important country in Western Africa, and the two countries enjoy profound friendship and close economic and trade ties. The bilateral trade has been increasing every year. That is the achievements made by the efforts made by our two parties. And I thank you again for the cooperation, the deep cooperation between China and Ghana. I can assure you, Mr. Vice President Baumia, and China Exim Bank is more than willing to facilitate the economic development and the cooperation between the two sides, as well as the infrastructure development, in particular the area of 3 networks and 1 industrialization.
Applications that you are...
Vice President Baumia's message was the transformational agenda of the government. He said the 6-month-old Akufo-Addo government is committed to transforming Ghana's economy and make it the most business-friendly in Africa.
The President wants us to move quickly. We are very committed to transform the economy of Ghana and to manage Ghana's resources very responsibly. We are committed to making Ghana the most business-friendly economy in Africa. That is the goal that we have set ourselves, and we want also to have macroeconomic stability. But the vision to transform the economy means that we have to do big things. And therefore we need significant injections of capital to be able to do the big things to transform the economy. And so you will see us engaging Exim Bank of China, to partner for some of the things we are trying to do. And so for that to happen, for example, we expect that a lot of businesses will want to buy equipment to set up factories. China is a good place to buy equipment. So we are hoping, and the chairman of the Exim Bank of Ghana is here, the chief executive of the Exim Bank is also here, the Minister for Trade and Industry is here, the senior minister is here, we have the coordinator for the One District, One Factory also being here. It's a strong team, but it would be nice for us if, for example, Exim Bank considered a facility, Exim Bank China to Exim Bank Ghana, so that Exim Bank Ghana can provide opportunities for people to buy equipment from China.
Thank you so much. It's my great pleasure to meet you too.
Same here.
It was in this meeting at the China Development Bank that the Vice President negotiated for the release of the remainder of a $3 billion loan which had been withheld by the Chinese.
We came into government and understood very quickly that macroeconomic stability was very key. And not only macroeconomic stability, but also debt sustainability. These are very key elements of making rapid progress in the economy, and we can't compromise on that. So we took, in the budget that we passed in March, we took some pretty difficult decisions, but they were important that we take those decisions to control expenditure of government, to discipline ourselves, and also, as you have noted, we've increased the foreign exchange reserves of the country, and then moved on to a process of reprofiling the debt by these bond issues to replace more expensive debt with less expensive debt. But as you know, our plans are big, so we need bigger resources. So we are not going to just utilize the existing resources. We have bigger plans, as you know. So we are going to ask the CDB to increase the facility also, because it's a new government, a very serious government, and we want to do a lot. And we believe that to get forward, we have to get the assistance of the CDB.
Upon request by the Vice President, the CDB then agreed to release the remainder. The Vice President was also a key speaker at the China-Ghana Trade and Investment Forum.
We want to develop an economy based on trade and based on investment. And that is the Ghana and the vision of Ghana. That is what we are going for. And this is why the relationship between Ghana and China is very, very important, because we are building this relationship based on trade and based on investment. Thank you so much for your attention. God bless you, and I appreciate it.
At the end of the 4-day visit, the Chinese had committed a total of $15 billion worth of investment in Ghana as a result of new financing model designed by the country's economic management team. And on that note, we end today's edition of the Presidential Diary, brought to you by the Communications Directorate at the Presidency. Log on to www.presidency.gov.gh and the other social media platforms on Facebook, on Twitter, as well as on YouTube for more updates. I'm Jefferson Saki. See you next time.